Whoa guys, look at this brand new video I definitely didn't upload without audio the first time. You ever look at the horrors and get mad that they are very comprehensible? I would have much preferred if I couldn't even process your existence, but no. The fact I'm able to make out what you are makes this worse because that means it's real. The other day I was scrolling on Twitter and I came across this tweet by an account I'd never seen before. This was my first experience with them, and it was just going, Oomf was AI, bro. I'm screaming. Looking at this person's account and their posting history, they don't seem like some really elaborate bit account that's just trolling about this sort of thing. And they and several Twitter users they knew were all talking about how they had found out their friend was actually a robot the whole time. Still, just scrolling past this, I didn't put a lot of stock in it. Anybody can be saying anything. Hell, people can even coordinate and say the same thing as each other. But if nothing else, it seemed like they were at least part of an authentic, little Twitter sub-community. As the situation developed, it began to break containment even more. We'll be going through all this in a minute, but this really started gaining traction with this other account. Maddie's tweeted saying, I mean, is this not fucking terrifying? Her account wasn't run by a human, she was just a program. And this was the post that really broke through to the main Twitter timeline. It had the likes of Brody Fox piping up, and that's just one bot account. Imagine how many are actually on this platform. Now, as a concept, group of online friends realize that somebody they've been talking to for months at this point is actually not a real person. But I still have my reservations about this being entirely an AI. Important note though, whatever this account was, AI or a dude just catfishing using AI pictures, whatever they got caught for wasn't nothing, because as soon as it got discovered, I'm not sure the exact timeline, whether it was when the friend group discovered privately or when they said it publicly, this account got deleted. Every trace of them is gone. Looking through their mentions on Twitter search though, you can see that this robot pretending to have friends is still archived. Only on one side though, with the real people that were actually responding. Let's go through what Madi had to show. This Trevor guy, for as well as I know him, might as well be the same one from GTA. I don't know how he ties into all this, how this information is relevant to him, and why Madi is directly in contact with him. The account was AI, and the videos it used were stolen videos. The girl everyone saw was a girl generated by AI, and this is the type of thing that, I think a lot of us expected AI-generated faces and stuff to be used for. People steal real photos of people all the time to catfish folk. They have ever since the internet started. The first line of defense with stuff like this has always been reverse image searching, see if it shows up anywhere else before your friend made it their profile picture. Quote unquote from the friend here. On this hypothetical, there's still a catfish who's probably trying to groom you. So AI generated faces that are an amalgamation of the training data the AI was fed create a wholly new face that isn't gonna have a reverse image search. That seemed like the next step for AI generated stuff. What people I don't think really saw happening, at least not this soon, was an AI taking full control of all the social interactions they had with people. You can send an AI generated picture to somebody and say it's you, and it's gonna be harder to tell. You can even generate short videos to pretend the person you sent in the picture is actually moving. And these checks if an image is AI generated are not perfect. Thankfully though, Trevor comes with more specific examples of why these pictures are completely fake. This is the most obvious picture. Look at her snake bite. If you don't know, a snake bite looks like this. It's a piercing that wraps entirely around the lip. Monty over here has it coming directly out of the middle of her bottom lip. If that was real, that's a botched fucking piercing, and it's probably been infected ever since. I don't know if a tetanus shot could save this person if they weren't a robot. Right here, this doesn't make sense, and they're absolutely right on this. Trevor continues, admittedly, it's very good AI, and whoever made Pommy, which is what I believe the alleged AI was going by when they still pretended to be a real boy, girl, whatever. Pommy likely didn't create her from nothing, but combined from the features of multiple girls together to create her. Now, I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty obvious this guy was talking out his jaw with the next stuff he says, but within that spiel, there can be found one point I want to pull out. Dude was about to go on a spiel about how the most basic details of the way that generative AI works, you give it stuff and then it generates new stuff based off what you gave it. He explains it it's easier. Instead of asking AI to create a person, it combines features and creates a person from pre-existing assets. And me with my snide little butthole wanted to go yeah, that is how all generative AI works. But they make a good point. They cite this website, this person is not real. I remember messing with this a few years back when generative AI wasn't anywhere close to what it is now, and people had been aware of this site well before I had ever touched it. And what they said about pre-existing assets being used to make a new face, I think actually holds some water here. While this person does not exist, is still just generative AI, the different faces it generates has a much narrower set of facial features it can give you. You'll notice in this timeline of it morphing between different faces, the mouth looks the same on a lot of them, as well as the wrinkle lines. In a vacuum, the images are convincing, but when shown to you in a slideshow like this, it becomes pretty clear just how similar they all are. Trevor makes the distinction that the account was deleted, not suspended, so somebody was taking stuff they made down, and this was before they ever managed to get a peep out of her. This makes me believe that whatever experiment her programmer was running is completed. I don't know how true that is. I don't have access to the full timeline here, but I think they just realized they'd been made. She showed up, got almost half of 1,000 followers, got popular, made friends, made money in a week. While I'll give them more credit than I initially was going to with the "this person is not real" stuff, I still think they're waffling out their asshole right now. They had 500 followers and you think they made money? In order to get paid off their tweets, they would need to buy Twitter Blue. And the amount of impressions they'd need to get just to break even on that is a number even I don't hit. You only get paid out well on Twitter if you're a Republican. If her goal was to prove this could work, experiment done, no reason to stick around, the only next possible move is for bot accounts as intelligent as her to start rolling out. Now, the way this guy goes on is why I think he's like just a complete fucking liar. He's so full of shit. Like Mahdi said, I have only his word to go off of. He's a literal rando. He said he's been keeping track of her activity for months across different platforms, and there was a half a year gap between Instagram and Twitter where it got smarter. I'm sorry, but if the account is entirely AI, it's not sentient, it's not gaining intelligence, it's still working off protocols it was trained on, it's still got an overseer more than likely. The processing power needed to run it still needs to be housed somewhere. Now, the reason I want this account to have been run by an AI, at least in its social interactions, like the AI decided what it was going to send in reply to things that the group chat it had wormed its way into were saying. What I can only assume is a real person said, "You got this, I believe you," in response to something Mahdi had said. Then Pomade over here at Colorful Smooch, rest in peace, "You should just give up." Looking at Mahdi's tweets, you'll see that they indulge in a bit of Marvel Rivals, so the Mantis design from that game showing up as a profile picture makes sense as somebody who'd be in their circles. And Mahdi even had screenshots of DMs where it seemed like Pomade was very human-like. What is all this talk about you getting famous after beating the shit out of your coworker? Like, I know people I could expect to get a text worded like that from at like 3 a.m. Thing is, a person tweeting like this in the middle of the day is a complete giveaway, man. This is not a real person. This motherfucker should still be at work. Now, after going through the gist of the information, I think it's likely that this Colorful Smooch person was using AI-generated images, like, in their profile. They were faking what was supposed to be their face in that aspect of it, but it is more likely than not that it was a real person who was manually doing all of that and sending the messages. But the believability of a scenario like this just grows by the day, and I don't just mean in, like, concept where it's like, oh, it's so crazy that the thing I made up sounds like it could be real. No, I mean that there is, like, text-based generative AI that can convincingly pass the Turing test. There's a bunch of, like, character AI role-play services out there, the main one being character AI. Now, the infrastructure to make interactions like that happen is still all contained to platforms like character AI. As far as I'm aware, I haven't seen it worm its way out of it and just taking refuge up in random Twitter accounts so it can talk about Marvel Rivals with randos. But the brute force means to just make something like that happen, yeah, they all exist now. It's just about them being applied together in a way where everything an account does is generated by an AI, and even then it'll probably still have an overseer. Back when I was in high school and kind of at the height of my terminal onlineness pre-adulthood and doing it as a job, everybody thought that everybody else they were talking to was secretly a 40-year-old pretending to be a teenager. Like, you could talk and text with a group of people every day, you could hang out on voice chat with them all the time and play games, like just genuinely spend a lot of time with them. Hell, I could even see pictures they sent me, and there was always that little bit of doubt in my head that this wasn't actually them. Back in the day, Discord didn't have video chat, so it wasn't as simple as just turn on your camera and prove that your voice comes out of that mouth. So if you were really dedicated to proving to someone that you were actually who you said you were, in order to video call, you'd send them your Skype account, and then you'd call on Skype and Discord at the same time. Mute the audio on Skype because Discord had higher voice quality, but you'd turn your webcam on in the Skype call, that way you knew you can attach this voice you've heard all the time to this face you saw in a picture coming out of that mouth. This could also be solved by just sending somebody a video of you speaking. Practically all of these methods are completely useless or at least debuffed as a result of AI getting better and better. What comes to mind during this is the movie Her, and while it's a fantastic film, it's kind of funny to look at this fictional AI society where it's integrated and used in every part of like human living. That Joaquin Phoenix was the first person that fell in love with the sexy Scarlett Johansson voice in his ear, where everybody is scared to say they made friends with an AI and think that people will call them a loser for not making real friends, when in reality, by the stage of that society that the movie is set in, everybody would have gotten past that shit by then. I saw quote tweets from people who were just kind of seeing this in passing and not thinking about it too hard to be really funny, like, y'all creating this things as if we had the Avengers. It's a very modern way of saying scientists only thought about if they could, not if they should. This person was like, by the way, this app is bullshit. I got a picture of me, which, yes, has a TikTok filter on it, and said it was AI. That's why it said it was AI, you fucking idiot. It's face tracking you and put something digital on top of it. That is what the AI tracker is looking for. The service could still be like total bunk and completely useless, but this is not the piece of information that proves it. Somebody tweeted sentience check because Oomf was AI. And as funny as that like is to read, what is this bystander spectacle to us is like a real friend group who is trying to figure out what happened to someone they were chopping it up with like last week as if nothing was weird. And sentience checking might be like a genuine fear some people have of with AI posing as real folk worming their way into their social networks and like actually forming a one-sided bond with them. Don't get parasocial with the robot, it feels nothing. And I guess this sort of thing usually comes down to how can this be used to scam people? And that's where I see AI making the most leaps and bounds in its evolution. Like grandparents hearing the voice of their grandchild begging for help saying they've been held at ransom, when in reality it's their grandkid's voice that's been generated. In this situation, I think of like porn bots that flood Twitter replies, where there's this one porn poster you still know is a bot, but they're kind of chill so you keep them around. I wouldn't be surprised if those porn bots start sending you personalized messages like you paid for it on OnlyFans. Like a fake, not real person establishing a connection with you, you get invested, and then they say they're in a crisis and need money. People have faked a person existing to do this sort of thing without using AI at all. So I guess the takeaway from this one is just stay vigilant always. Like I said, the world is full of scary shit, and unfortunately, they're man-made, so that means we can tell what they are. Very comprehensible. That's all I got for today. That kwytebox email is in the description if you want to send me any video topics. Anyways, yeah, piss off.